Oddly enough, 2-10. Chicago 6-6, giving you an idea of their competitive action in that tough division. But the Bulls have won 2 in a row. They knocked off Los Angeles and Milwaukee in 2. They've shot well. Detroit, they have lost 4 straight going into this one, all on the road against Pacific Division teams. And in the last 3 years, they've had it rough. There's Gene Tormolin in the middle, laughing, the big guy who brought one great shooter to this club, Wilbur Holland. He is an assistant coach with his staff. You're looking at the lineups. Joe Gashu is ready to go, looks over and says, "Are you ready on television?" And CBS thanks him for that, and we're about ready to go. In red, the Chicago Bulls. The NBA on CBS coming your way from Detroit. And, of course, following this one, remember, this is Super Sunday and the Super Bowl right around the corner. The jump between Gus Gerard and Artis Gilmore. Gilmore has the advantage and wins it. In red, moving to your left. On the screen, the Chicago Bulls up against Detroit. Van Leer, a great penetrator, can really pass on the baseline, number 2. That's the great shooter outside Holland. Now going to Scott May, who is looking for the loose man. That's Mickey, who has it knocked away. Shoemate stealing the ball away from Mickey Johnson. Here's Ford on the right side. Ford has a good shot when they get in time. Lanier making his move, and Gilmore fouls him initially.
You know, that's an important play early in the game, and I'm sure that Bob Lanier is aware of trying to go at Artis Gilmore as much as he can. If he can get Artis into foul trouble early, that, of course, is the advantage for the Detroit Pistons. Here you can see Lanier. He's very mobile for a big guy. He gets inside. Artis, of course, a very fine defensive player, put the body on him in the foul call.
Lanier, a 79.5% foul shooter. Bob Lanier, his average on the year is 25 points per game. Lanier, the big man, rebounding, does it all. Put this club ahead, and so it is 1-0 as Detroit leads with 11.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Van Leer, who will drive inside and then find the man loose, as a big man has to pick him up if he beats Money. But watch Money this afternoon. He's a great hand checker. That is Gilmore forcing the shot. Lanier bothered him. Gilmore with a rebound, and we have a whistle. Joe Gashu says the foul is against Lanier, so now, John, we've got them all even in the middle.
Well, there's an even out, Jerry, and of course you saw Chicago go right back to Gilmore, which is important. They should. Now, Detroit trying to double up Gilmore when they can, and that's something he really hasn't done a real good job of handling, although he's getting much better at it.
Scott May handing off in the hole. Gilmore trying to move left-handed. He's a good left-handed shooter. Misses inside. That's Lanier. And a whistle. Interesting matchups to watch, John. We'll watch Shoemate going against Mickey Johnson. That should be an interesting one. And on the other forwards, of course, Scott May going up against Gus Gerard.
The Bulls, of course, are very concerned. The Bulls coaches, that is, concerned with the Shoemate matchup. They say Mickey Johnson will get his points at the other end, but they have problems with Shoemate down underneath the basket. He's difficult, he's tough when he gets the ball in deep, and of course the way the Pistons play Lanier out high so often, that opens up the basket area for a John Shoemate.
Foul is going to be called against Chris Ford, and Bob Lanier now has 2 points in the game. Lanier averaged 24 in his first meeting against his club, or pumped home 24. It is now 3-0 as the Detroit Pistons are leading the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls moving it up in red. Scott May goes in the hole. They like to operate everything off Gilmore. That's Holland. Eric Money. Gus Gerard, formerly in the ABA. Gerard following. Money. Money averaging 17.5. Gets 2, and it's now 5-0 as the Pistons lead the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls really ran well, John, in Milwaukee in that last game.
Jerry, they ran better than I've ever seen them run. Plus, they shot 63.5% from the field. That's phenomenal.
Holland outside. Taken off the boards. Good work by the former Notre Dame star. John Shoemaker gives up to Eric Money. Now Ford. He has a right-handed push shot that's tough. Money taking his man in the hole. That's Gerard. Gilmore taking it away from his teammate. Johnson. The Bulls moving it up. Scott May, formerly at Indiana, is fouled. He'll get a pair.
Now, that's a smart play there for a rookie in particular. He got Gerard up in the air, and by leaning in under him, of course, that draws the foul, and then you got to put the ball up so that you can get to the line. A lot of pros, veterans, did that very well. Oscar Robertson was probably the best example of being able to draw the foul, get the defensive player up in the air, and then have him come down on him. He did it better than anyone. I know I tried it a few times, and they always called moving in under the player on me.
Scott May from Indiana, making it 2 points finally for Chicago. They trail 5-2. So Detroit bouncing out to a 5-point lead. Now it is 5-2 off the high post. Outside, Lanier can shoot out there. He is deadly. when he has time. Ford, 4 seconds on the timer. Had to take the shot, taken down by Mickey Johnson. Now that's Holland. He's got a 1-on-3 break, which is not one. But he gets the foul. He beat Money, and Money whacked him on the way down.
Foul number 14, Eric Money. That's his first, the team's third.
You can see Holland here advancing the ball, and by advancing the ball quickly, even if you don't have a break, you put pressure on the defensive team. And he's pretty good at this. He's done it a number of times this year, and I know that by getting into the basket area, it's possibly got him 2 points. He's got one at the line, and he gets the other.
Great story about Wilbur Holland. We'll tell you about it. He was given up twice by Atlanta and signed as a free agent here. 9.5 minutes to go, 5-4. Detroit leading, and Lanier. Bob Lanier. 7-time All-NBA field scorer. Just showing you why. That's Gilmore. Mickey Johnson with the tip in. The kid who never played high school basketball. 9 minutes and 15 seconds to go. 7-6 first quarter. The lead going to Detroit. Van Leer paired against Ford. He'll drop off and try and help inside if he can. That's Shoemate up against Scott May. Gilmore pulling it down. Van Leer, who has been such a great inspiration to this club. Holland, who has loosened up the inside by being tough outside. To Scott May. Money, Eric Money of Detroit. That's Ford. It's going to be 3-on-2. John couldn't get the ball back to the middle, could he?
Well, you can see that the Pistons wanting to run, Jerry. And, of course, with Eric Money getting the rebound, whenever a guard gets a rebound on a running team, they have a great advantage of advancing the ball very quickly. Ford runs also. He does not have the speed that a Money has, and Money is a real key to this Piston team.
That's Eric Money scoring with 8.5 to go in the first quarter. And it is Detroit 9 and Chicago 6. The action coming your way from Detroit, Michigan. The NBA on CBS will have many regional games next weekend for you to watch. And, of course, the Super Bowl coming up on CBS. That coming up this afternoon. The action from New Orleans. 9-6. 2 turnovers now against Chicago. None so far for Detroit. Bob Lanier. Lanier has ripped off 7 points. He's outscored Gilmore 7-0, and it is 11-6. The lead of 5, the biggest lead so far. Gilmore is down momentarily. He's all right. That's Scott May. He altered his shot.
Scott May's a fine shooter. Of course, in college, he made that shot quite often along that baseline. Now, both clubs will set up and run a lot of offense when they don't have the break.
By and large, some of the Chicago players like to run the fast break. By and large, the coaching staff would like to see them play pattern basketball a little more.
That's right, Jerry. When you talk to the coaches, they'll say one thing, and a few of the players have another thing to say. But they've been playing very well lately by running. But they have the ability to set up and run that disciplined offense, not quite like they have in the years past, but they still do it very well.
That foul was on Mickey Johnson. And there's another foul coming up, so we're getting close toward what will be a penalty situation. I believe that is the 15th foul. It is, so it is now a penalty situation coming up against the Chicago Bulls, and Detroit will go to the line as Eric Money is there. Mickey Johnson committing the foul earlier. That last foul was called against Chicago. There is no indication of who they have called the foul on, but I would guess it would be one of the guards. Eric Money has come along very well for this club. With the departure of Kevin Porter, he's become the big man, John.
He sure has, and of course he has to be, and giving the playing time that he's getting, Jerry, he penetrates very well, and he at times gets a little carried away and doesn't run the offense they want when the break isn't there, but still, he's a fine player.
Look how they're dropping off on Artis Gilmore. They get caught on a switch. Shoemate had him deep, and Lanier had him up high.
It's surprising. With Lanier guarding Gilmore, the Pistons still want to give him help and double team.
Detroit leading by the score of 12-8. If you've just joined us, the team in white is the Detroit Pistons. The team in red, that, of course, is the Chicago Bulls. That's Holland paired up against Money, and Holland dropping off. They find the open man, 6 on the timer.
Chris Ford puts in that set shot. It's interesting. Here's a player who, at certain nights, he can hit 10 or 12 in a row, and other nights he just cannot put the ball in. He's one of the few players in the game today that still shoots a set shot.
This is the biggest lead in the game for Detroit. They're up by 6. We have 6:48 to go in the first quarter. All the action from the Motor City as Mickey Johnson shows you a move, but misses the shot, and Van Leer. Foul will be called against Eric Money. Timeout on the court, 6.5 to go. The score, Detroit 14, Chicago 8.
We're the Van Arsdales, Tom and Dick. We're identical twins. And we drink identical beers. Light beer from Miller. We love it. The best thing about light beer is it's less filling. Great taste. Less filling. It's got a third less calories than the regular beer. Great taste, Tom. Less filling. And I'm not Tom. You are. I'm Dick. You think you are, but you never were.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Leslie Caron for Color Track by RCA.
In Gigi, my brooch was blue, the leaves were green, and my gown was lavender lace. If these colors don't look right to you, you should know about Color Track from RCA. Getting the color right is what Color Track is all about. It actually adjusts the colors and locks them on track.
Before you see the color Track system grabs it, aligns it, defines it, sharpens it, tones it, and locks the color on track.
RCA is making television better and better.
See what's new today.
Stare hard at this new Chevrolet Caprice Coupe, and you'll see something most unusual. Full-size grown-up human beings riding comfortably in the back seat with ample leg room. And in the trunk, almost 20 cubic feet of luggage space. The new Chevrolet Caprice Coupe with more trunk room, more headroom, and more rear seat leg room. It's as easy on the knees as it is on the eyes.
Six minutes, 38 seconds remaining in the first quarter of action here in Detroit. It is 14-8 as the Pistons are leading Chicago.
Both clubs actually coming up and not running as much as probably either one would like. Also, I might add that Detroit running their offense probably much better than Chicago. Detroit pulling Lanier out of the middle a lot, and it's amazing that big guy probably has the talents to play forward on many teams in this league. But they're pulling him out of the middle, trying to set John Shoemate up under the basket.
And, of course, get the mismatch with Shoemate underneath against Johnson if they can. Now the shoe is on the other foot as Chicago has the attack. They are posting Gilmore low and bringing May out. He's got a good shot outside. Mickey Johnson feeding Gilmore, and there the basket counts, and he's fouling the active shooting.
You can see Chicago wanting to go to Gilmore to try to get him in the offense, and they must do that. That must put pressure on Lanier. Lanier's putting pressure on Gilmore at the other end. Gilmore must come back and put it on him. If a big guy like that gets the ball that deep, it should definitely be 2 and possibly 3.
They say the foul is on Chris Ford. Gilmore missing with his first attempt. He is the leader in blocked shots in a game this year in the NBA. He blocked 11. That is, Gilmore did against Atlanta back in the middle of December.
You know what's interesting about that night, Jerry? He blocked 6 shots in the last 2.5 minutes of that game. That's phenomenal.
14-11 is the score, and Detroit leading with the ball over Chicago. 6 minutes and 15 seconds to go with the NBA on CBS in Michigan, right here in Detroit. That's Eric Money. It counts, and he's fouled by Holland as Wilbur Holland cracked him on the arm.
Well, here you can see Detroit just clearing out the side for Money. All the other players on the other side of the court, and they let him work. And he possibly gets 3 out of it. Of course, he's a fine one-on-one player, and he has the ability to get the shot off in traffic, not only on little guys, but on big guys.
Eric Money now has 8 points in the game. Lanier has 7. They're the 2 high men. The high man in the ball game is Scott May for Chicago, and it's Detroit up by 6 with 6 minutes to go in the first quarter of play. Mickey Johnson coming outside. Gilmore now up against Lanier at the high post. They have posted Scott May inside against Ford. He got a mismatch and scored. Well, they got May at 6'7" inside against 6'5" Chris Ford. 5:43 to go, 17-13. Detroit on top of the foul.
Eric Money creating the situation once again. All that was a pick and roll, the old style pick and roll that many clubs ran for a lot of years in professional basketball. You don't see it as often now. What it is, it's normally with a center and a guard. It's on one side of the court, and that was with Lanier and Money.
John, that is a big foul because John Mengelt has to come into the game, and coming out is Wilbur Holland. That is his 3rd foul.
And the interesting thing is they need a lot of scoring out of Holland, Jerry, and of course they've gotten it so much this year. He's a fine shooter, but don't underrate John Mengelt. He's a fine, tough defensive player, but he can also shoot the basketball.
Mengelt's the only substitute on the Bulls who's averaging more than 15 minutes of playing time per team's game. He has been in twin figures in 21 of 36 games as a substitute. He's going to have to do it here now. Gilmore. Went off the hands of Gerard and picked up in the corner. That's Eric Money. Money and Van Leer against each other. Bob Lanier. Oh, he's going to draw two there. Now he's mad. I think they called a foul on Lanier. Look at Bob. He's upset.
Bob felt that he was shooting the ball, and the official said that was a pass-off. He also got Gilmore in the air. Gilmore knows he can shoot that. Look, you can see here Lanier faking, leaning in. He was trying to go to the basket. He was not passing. The official said he was trying to pass it.
So they have ruled that there will be only a one-shot foul. Now Bob is mad he missed the first one, and he gets the penalty shot, 1-1, rather than 3 chances to make 2, which he wanted.
The important thing there, Jerry, is don't let a call or something happen upset you enough that you miss those free throws. Those are free shots, boy, and you got to get them.
Lanier now has 8 points. He has missed 2 from the line, and he is 4 out of 6. Scott May, with Detroit leading by 7, their biggest bulge. Mickey Johnson cutting it down to 5 with 4:56 to go. In white, that's Chris Ford. Ford going into Shoemate. Shoemate has the power to move against Johnson. See how he muscled his way in? Let's see if they call it on him. They do not. They say Mickey got him from behind, and Mickey's down. Mickey's hurt on the play. Mickey Johnson. They're calling the foul on Mengelt for reaching in, and Mickey Johnson is down. And the trainer, Doug Atkinson, is administering to him, and that is Ed Badger, the coach, going over. Well, he's down, John. I don't know whether he caught one in the stomach or what.
If the Bulls lose Mickey Johnson, that's going to be very difficult for them. You can see that Mickey, of course, in the lane on Shoemate. They're trying to post Shoemate up down low, and you can see here that the Bulls very aware of giving help as Mengelt comes back in to help on Shoemate, and he commits the reaching foul.
Looks like he may have caught the right shoulder in the jaw. He apparently did, but he apparently is okay. So Mickey Johnson at 6'10", 190 going against John Shoemate, 6'9", but at 235. That's a mismatch there. I guess as they say in the boxing vernacular, he had his bell rung.
Fortunately for him, it wasn't rung completely. He's back in the game, or stays in the game. But, you know, Bob Kaufman is concerned at the other end. Of course, for John Shoemate, he says, sure, we create a problem for Chicago at the offensive end, but at the other end, Mickey Johnson is out there running around like a crazy man, and John Shoemate has to play him.
10 out of 14 from the line for Detroit so far, and with 4:46 to go in the first quarter, Detroit leads 21-15 over Chicago. Mengelt is aggressive. He'll go inside. Johnson, Van Leer, Mengelt. Almost traveled with that left foot. He almost carried it. 9 seconds to shoot. 8. Mengelt has it blocked by Lanier. Picked off by Scott May. 4 seconds to shoot. They're going to have to hurry. It'll go now to Detroit. What a tremendous block on the play. And still down on the floor is Bob Lanier, all tied up, apparently, with John Mengelt. Eric Money. 21-15. Detroit with the lead. That's Shoemate again posting Johnson. Gerard spinning around Scott May. Air ball. Van Leer. Stormin' Norman, they call him. Van Leer had a super game against Milwaukee. That pass was blocked and taken away. Gus Gerard. A lot of action as Gerard runs smack into Mengelt, who wanted to get the offensive foul, but there's no whistle.
You know, Jerry, it's hard to imagine, you know, in contact like that, it either has to be a block or a charge, one or the other. Gerard, you know, he's a very aggressive player, and he can bring the ball up the court as he demonstrated that time and go all the way. The Bulls should not allow that, and of course they probably feel they didn't allow it, and something should have been called.
Scott May with his club down by 8. Missing, and it goes out of bounds up and over the backboard. So right now Chicago is going to have to make some moves to get some offense or more rebounding punch into the game. And they do. They come off their bench and bring a young man in, Mark Landsberger, a rookie drafted 2 by Chicago. Out of Arizona State, he's 6'8" at 225. Landsberger now goes in, and he'll be working underneath against Shoemate. He's got a little more weight, and he can do a better job inside, perhaps, than Mickey Johnson.
You can see the Bulls aware of double teaming at times, especially when the Pistons advance the ball deep into the corners.
23-15 is the score. And Detroit leading Chicago. First quarter. Each team has 5 team fouls. Money missing that shot. And taken away by Gilmore. Over to May. It's going to be 3-on-2, and May the middleman. Landsberger on the left. Scott taking the shot. And instead of going to the left wing, here comes Chicago back. That's Shoemate. He's normally very tough around the perimeter. Gerard, but there's going to be no basket. He stepped down the end line or a foul.
Now with Lanier, of course, playing out high all the time, that takes Artis Gilmore away from the defensive boards. Therefore, the other Bulls players, the guards, Norm Van Leer has a history of being a fine rebounder, but more importantly, the forwards must get to the boards and rebound for the Bulls.
They call a 3-second violation against Detroit. Mengelt almost draws rain. So Mengelt, John Mengelt out of Auburn, a former Piston, purchased from Detroit. Now coming back to see what he can do against his former mates. 2 minutes and 39 seconds left to go in the first quarter. The lead has been cut down to 6 points as the Chicago Bulls are battling against the Pistons. Girard with great second effort.
Well, Gus Girard, he can jump with the best of them. That was a nice play. He didn't make it on the first move, but of course with that jumping ability, he was able to get it the second time.
Gus Girard now starting his 14th game in a row since he replaced M.L. Carr. Girard in the ball game. Getting his first 2 points a moment ago, now has 4, time out on the court, 2:17 to go. 25-17, it's Detroit.
Come on, and taste the Pepsi way. Come on, and have a Pepsi day. You found a place to celebrate. The Pepsi's cold, the food is great. Come on, and have a Pepsi day. You're the Pepsi generation. A Pepsi day.
Sir, what's the hurry? Going to rent a car. Oh, well, you don't have to run. Gotta run. Oh, no, if you had an Avis Wizard number, you could walk. Yeah, walk. Call toll-free and let our Wizard system do the running. Just show a major credit card, license, sign, and get the car. I don't have to run through airports? Not with Avis. I can walk through airports.
We try harder, Avis. Avis, we don't know another way.
I'm walking through airports.
Excuse me, sir. I'd like you to try something.
Okay.
Hold out your hand.
Hey, what is that?
That's Track 2 shave cream, and that's another brand. Feel any difference?
The Track 2 feels heavier.
That's because the Track 2 is heavier. It's packed with moisturizers.
Moisturizers?
They help hold the moisture in your skin so your face feels good after you shave.
After I
It'll
shave?
feel soft and moisturized.
Great. Wait, what do I do now?
Shave.
Track 2, heavy with moisturizers.
The NBA on CBS continues. 2:17 to go here at 25-17 Detroit. For a report on the Portland-Boston game, here's Don Criqui and Gus Johnson in Boston.
We'd like to welcome those of you who've been viewing the Chicago-Detroit game. Here at the Boston Garden, the Celtics in the white uniforms have a 27-23 lead over the Portland Trailblazers wearing the black with the red trim. The Celtics were down by 7 in the first quarter. Now they've rallied back late in this quarter to take the lead, and now they take their biggest advantage, 29-23, as JoJo White hits the field goal.
Plus, he was fouled on the shot. They got to have this from JoJo. JoJo has got to start opening it up from outside.
The big scorers for Boston have been Havlicek and Wicks. Sid Wicks has 8. John Havlicek has 8. Bob Gross fielded the rebound, but he stepped on the inbounds line, and so Boston gets the ball back over. Bill Walton is not at this game, for those of you just joining us. Went home to welcome a new 8.5-pound son. And in his absence, the Trailblazers are going with Lloyd Neal at the moment. Tom Owen started the game. Now it's back the other way. This has been a very intense game. It is 29-23, Boston with 13 seconds to play in the quarter.
I'm sure they'll go for the last shot here.
Welcome back to Detroit. Jerry Gross with John McLaughlin. Our score is 25-19. And in the lead, Detroit. Detroit in the white uniform, Chicago in the red. We have 1:14 remaining in the first quarter. With the ball in red, that's John Mengelt. Mengelt missed an outside shot. Chicago came down and shot outside and missed the shot, and then a traveling violation against Chris Ford. Then Mengelt scored on a drive to make it 25-19. That's what happened since we left you.
Landsberger here gets into the free throw lane, of course, fakes the shot, and holds his position very well as Ford comes down on him. Something very interesting to know, Chicago right now has 5 turnovers in the game, while Detroit 2. Although Detroit, they've been averaging 26 turnovers over the last 6 games. Man, that's a lot of turnovers.
They have played a much better game so far at the onset here. At the line, that's Mark Landsberger, their number 2 draft choice. He was a transfer from Minnesota, the University of Minnesota, to Arizona State, and then picked 35th in the draft. That makes it now 25-21. And so Chicago has come back. They have cut the gap from 8 points. They've brought it back now to within 4. Scott May over to Mengelt. He'll go to the hoop. He smells it.
Mengelt's doing a good job coming off the bench for the Bulls. Of course, he's done it quite a bit all year. I think that they're missing the scoring of Holland, but Mengelt coming in, picking it up a little bit with 6 points.
Boy, he's a hard-nosed performer, and that's what they needed him. They brought him off the bench. He has banked some bodies. Now he's going to double-team Eric Money. It means a man's open. He set it up. That's Scott May with the interception. May goes in for 2.
There you see the value of double teaming. Eric Money going into the corner, of course, he couldn't see coming back out, and May doing a smart thing. Of course, he played good defense at college at Indiana, and he knows how to play those passing lanes.
That ties the game up, John, 25 at all, and Scott May has 8 points. He's high man in the game for the Chicago Bulls. Artis Gilmore has been outscored 8-3 so far in the hole. That's Gilmore with a rebound. 6 seconds to go in the first quarter. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
So that's it, the end of the first quarter here in Detroit, Michigan. The NBA on CBS, and at the end of the first quarter, the score is the Detroit Pistons 25 and the Chicago Bulls 25.
This is what your voice looks like when it travels as light on tiny glass fibers. It's part of our light wave communication system. Working as a team, AT&T, Bell Laboratories, Western Electric, and Illinois Bell have taken it out of the labs and put it under the streets. Here in Chicago, we're evaluating the world's first light wave communication system carrying our customers' voice, data, and video. A half-inch cable like this can contain enough glass fibers to carry as many phone calls as 6 of those copper cables. Besides increasing capacity, light wave communications in the future will help keep costs down. In the Bell system, we've taken light wave communications out of the labs. We put it under the streets, and it's working.
The Bell system. People using technology to help keep down costs and improve service. Keeping your phone system the best in the world.
Control is very important in the game of basketball. And control is vital in the game of life, especially when you're dealing with high blood pressure. Right now, I'm having my blood pressure checked. That's the only way to tell if it's high. If it is high, I'll follow my doctor's advice to control it.
It's normal, Tom.
Good. For more information, ask your American Heart Association. I'm Tom Borwinkle. Remember, we're fighting for your life.
An announcement from the American Heart Association in cooperation with the NBA.
We're going into the start of the second quarter in Detroit with the score tied up at 25 all. Detroit in white and Chicago in red. We welcome the fans that have just joined us. And here in Detroit, the Pistons in white uniforms. The Chicago Bulls are in red. The score at the end of one is knotted up at 25 all. And you're watching the Detroit Pistons bring it up. On the back line for the Detroit Pistons, Al Skinner, number 35, going over to Gus Girard. Up front against Mickey Johnson, who's back in the game. That is John Shoemate. Battling for it, Skinner loses it. Grabbing it off the rookie who comes in for the first time in the game, Tate Armstrong, number 14. That's Eric Money. Money's up against Gilmore. Eric Money, high man in the first quarter with 10 points, now has 12. And we have a whistle by John Gashu, or rather Joe Gashu, the official. We have 11:30 to go in the second period, and the score is 27-25 as Detroit leads Chicago.
Charge it to red. White number.
Ed Badger a little unhappy over the last call. Badger, the coach of Chicago, now goes back to talk to his troops. Joe Gashu goes over and wants to talk to the official scorer.
Chicago just committed their 6th turnover, and what they did to get back in this game, they were down 17-25. Chicago ran off 8 straight points before the Pistons answered with a deuce.
I want to remind all of you the Super Bowl today at 4:30. Eastern time. And then, of course, Super Bowl 12 comes along at 6 o'clock. And John McLaughlin, I know you must have some thoughts on the game that we've all been looking forward to watching this afternoon down in New Orleans.
Jerry, I've got to go with Denver. Everyone seems to be picking Dallas. I think Denver has that psychological high to win the game.
You like the Denver club? You like the Orange Crush? I'm afraid, although with apologies to the good people in Denver, I have to go with the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, we've got a split.
I got to tell you one thing. It's going to be a great game. Be interesting to watch the 3-4 defense of the Denver Broncos to see what they can do against Roger Staubach. Interesting to see if they can put the rush on enough. I'm sure one thing, you're going to watch the matchup between Tony Dorsett and see whether or not he can run on that tremendous defense. That ought to be quite a challenge. 11 minutes and 25 seconds left to go in the second quarter of this one. It's 27-25. Chicago has never been ahead in the ball game. The rookie trying to go inside to another rookie. Missing with his pass, that was Tate Armstrong, drafted number 1, going to another rookie, Mark Landsberger, who couldn't handle it inside and find it, and it's 27-25, and Detroit moving it back. In the middle now, for the first time, Leon Douglas in the hole. A lot of substitutions by both clubs. Douglas battling John Mengel. Picked up by Landsberger. It's a wild, wide open one now. Armstrong going back to Landsberger, who travels on the play. So you're seeing Tate Armstrong, a rookie, playing with Mark Landsberger. Not too many clubs in the NBA, John McLaughlin, have 3 rookies on their roster.
Of course, the Bulls have 3 Olympians on their roster from the 1976 team, and Armstrong, May, and Shepard, which is rather interesting. Armstrong not getting to play as much as they had thought, being a first-round draft choice, Jerry. They thought he was a bigger guard, I believe.
He's got quite a struggle going. Great block underneath, but goaltending call. Great struggle underneath between Tate Armstrong and Eric Money. The score is 29-25 as Detroit leads with 10.5 minutes to go in the second quarter. That is Mengel. Mengel against Skinner. Skinner strong. Trying to maneuver the ball now. It was just brought back to this club. Pondexter, who is inside, very tough. That's Armstrong, the rookie. So inside they have given Cliff Pondexter the chance to do something in the middle, as they are taking the 2 starting centers out of the game, and it's Douglas against Pondexter. That's Skinner.
Skinner makes that type of shot quite often. He's not getting a lot of playing time for this club. When he comes in, he's trying to advance the ball as much as possible, but they're going to clear the lane and let him go one-on-one now and then.
Formerly with the Nets, and outside with the rainbow shot, John Mengel now has 8 points, and the action is picking up. It's 31-29. A 2-point lead. ML Carr, who was a starter, is in the ball game against Landsberger. That ought to be a good matchup. Carr was hockey of the night in Phoenix with 28. 9:38 to go. 31-29. All the action in Detroit is Mickey Johnson takes a crack at it outside, and the rebound hauled down by Carr. And here's Detroit coming back. This is the kind of a ball game that Eric Money loves. A lot of action, a lot of wide open backyard basketball. Now Mengel bring it up. He's got a 4-on-2 momentarily. Now it's cut down to a 3-on-3. Great block by Gerard. Good scrambling play by Carr. Not Carr, but a good scrambling play by Money over to Carr. It's going to be 2-on-4, now 2-on-5, and ML will wisely wait.
Jerry, the game got a little sloppy right there. Players taking some 4 shots as you see Money coming into the lane there, and that also was not really a good shot, but it's a type of shot that Eric Money is accustomed to taking and oftentimes hitting.
Pondexter got the rebound, and again Mengel. He seems to have found a spot on the court, a la a former man who was tough in that corner, John McLaughlin.
Jerry, you cannot allow John Mengel to put that shot up. You know, he wants the ball, he wants to shoot it, and when he smells it, he can fill it up very quickly. They must play up on him and force him to the basket.
For the second time, John, this ball game is tied up. An offensive foul against Al Skinner. Mengel's all right. He's stunned, but he's all right. I think he's all right.
It's amazing this doesn't happen more often, and you can see it here. Skinner waves his elbows around, and Mengel, playing right up on him, got hit.
8:22 to go. It's tied.
See what's new today.
Hello, I'm the new 1978 4-door Chevy Chevette hatchback. Come on inside. I've got lots of room. For you and for cargo, I give you all these standard features. From an AM radio to reclining bucket seats. Some small cars charge you extra for them. I don't. I'm the new 78 four-door Chevy Chevette, and I'm a lot of car for the money. I think we're gonna like each other.
I like my chicken finger licking good.
There's nothing like Kentucky Fried Chicken. There's nothing even close to it.
Colonel got them all beat.
I like my chicken finger licking good. Best thing about it, it's so moist and tender.
I'm very proud of the chicken I cooked.
I like my chicken finger licking good.
10 years ago, I started eating this chicken, and I've stuck with it ever since.
Once you tried, hey, man, you're going to have to come back for some more of the Colonel Sanders' good Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Introducing the Kellys. From Fayetteville, North Carolina, the Kelly Passenger Radio. From Cumberland, Maryland, the Kelly Truck Tire. From Tyler, Texas, the Kelly RV Tire. From Freeport, Illinois, the Kelly Farm Tractor Tire. From Cumberland, Maryland, the low-cost 4-ply tire.
For whatever driving you're doing, the Kellys have a tire for you. The Kellys. What a line.
Tough throughout the line. Good and tough. We're the Kellys.
The Grand Slam of tennis next Saturday and Sunday on CBS. Live coverage, remember, on both days. It'll be a four-man tournament. Jimmy Connors, Bjorn Borg, Guillermo Vilas, and Vitas Gerulaitis. Vitas, of course, the Australian Open champs. Guillermo, the U.S. Open and the French Open. And Borg, the Wimbledon champ, and Jimmy Connors, the Grand Prix Masters. And across the way, an examination going on Artis Gilmore. He's been a man who has played almost in pain for his whole career, John.
Jerry, he's played in a lot of games, 545 straight over an 8-year period. Never missed a pro game. That's amazing.
That's a great tribute to a man who plays when there are those nagging injuries. That's the rookie, Tate Armstrong, making quite a move to the basket. He's not too strong, but he's been on a weight program. And right now, for the first time in the game, you see Chicago has bounced into the lead 33-31 with 8 minutes to go in the second quarter of play. A whistle and a foul. They have called a 3-second violation. Neither team has a foul in this quarter. If you're wondering about the team fouls, when they hit the fifth one, that's when they go into the penalty situation. It becomes a very vital part of strategy in the NBA. But neither team has a team foul with a 33-31 lead for the club with the ball. That's Chicago. Lanier found him inside. Armstrong has gone inside. He's really shown some aggressiveness. He's come off the bench and given his club 6 points, John McLaughlin.
He's made 2 baskets right in Bob Lanier's face. And let me tell you something, from where Armstrong's shooting it from, I'm not sure he can even see the basket when Bob Lanier's in front of him.
We have an offensive foul called against Al Skinner. As you look at Artis Gilmore on the bench, he's got an ice pack on his left hand. Also has an ice pack on his left knee. So the left side of his bod is in tough shape right now with 7:20 to go. But Chicago leading 35-31. They're up by 4 without their big man in the middle. And the little man who's come off the bench, Armstrong, has the fever now. He has gone to Mickey Johnson. Landsberger tips it away, but it's taken by Eric Money. Here comes Money. ML Carr has it taken away from him before it gets there by Norm Van Leer. Back to Landsberger. He looks like a linebacker.
That was a nice play by Norm Van Leer. And of course, he anticipates so well. He's capable of stealing the ball at any time.
This is the biggest lead for Chicago. They are leading by 6.
Chicago got back in this game. They were down 17-25 by becoming more aggressive with the basketball offensively, but more importantly, playing aggressive, tough defense.
We have 6 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the second quarter. Chicago has burst to the lead. They're up 37-31 over Detroit.
Here's to good friends. Tonight is kind of special.
Where you been? It wasn't easy getting tickets for this game.
Hey, Bob. Eddie, I know exactly what I want. I want the biggest steak you got and a bottle of Lowenbrau. Steak and Lowenbrau. Dolan, you're a genius.
When you want the taste of a truly great beer, tonight, let it be Lowenbrau.
Here's to the chef. Here's to the bartenders.
Has Gillette made a breakthrough in shaving? Yes. A closer shave with more comfort? Yes. Then Gillette's done the impossible. Introducing Atra, the impossible shave. Atra, the first razor with a head that pivots to safely follow every contour of your face. This Atra face-hugging action keeps the twin blades at the perfect angle. You've never shaved this close with this much comfort.
Impossible.
New Gillette Atra, the impossible shave.
I was so sure that I could pass the Memorex test. You know, is Ella Fitzgerald singing live or on Memorex cassette tape? That I bet her whole crazy crew that I could do it. So Ella stood where I couldn't see her, and I listened carefully to her voice. But you know, I couldn't tell. Nobody's perfect.
Reproduction so true we ask, is it live or is it Memorex?
This is going to be the best day we ever had.
It's Super Bowl Sunday at Archie's Place.
This is a holdup, so nobody move.
All in the family tonight after the Super Bowl game.
6:50 left to go in the second quarter. John McLaughlin and Jerry Gross reporting from Detroit. Bob Lanier goes to the foul line. Lanier at the line. Bob Lanier at the foul line. We're going to Boston shortly, so for a report on the Portland-Boston game, let's go now to Don Criqui and Gus Johnson in Boston.
We welcome our Detroit-Chicago viewers here at Boston Garden. The Celtics in the white uniforms have opened up a 10-point lead in the second quarter with 6:50 to play in the half, 43-33. Maurice Lucas will inbound the ball for the Trailblazers.
I'm sure that they don't want to lose Curtis right now. He has 8 points in this game, and he's playing very well. Good defense, too.
Lucas coming out high, looking for motion down low. 5 Trailblazers moving. They get a lot of people in motion without the basketball. Somebody gets open now as Georgia goes to the basket.
Here, we get a chance to see this. This will show you how excellent body control Twardzik has. He hangs, lets Bing go by, and draws a foul right here.
A little fella from Old Dominion.
He was in the ABA when I was there, too.
That's right.
Yeah.
His incredible shooting statistics from the field, he's something like 69%. He doesn't shoot that much. 67% right now.
Right.
They're hoping he gets enough shots to qualify for the shooting championship. The all-time record for a season, Wilt hit 71% one year.
Unreal.
He shot most of his straight down.
Yes, yes.
43-35. Celtics by 8. Dave Bing harassed by a very quick guard in T.R. Dunn.
And is he going to be a fine rookie?
JoJo White goes down low to Curtis Rowe. We have a foul called against Twardzik.
Very smart. They took advantage of the mismatch right here, took the ball inside. Twardzik could do nothing but foul him.
So with 6:22 to play in the half, it is the Celtics 43, the Trailblazers 35.
Welcome back to Detroit. Jerry Gross along with John McLaughlin. Our score is 32-39. Going in for 2 is Tate Armstrong, who has chewed this place apart, and the Chicago Bulls have roared into the lead. 41-32. They were down by 8, and the number 1 draft choice is coming along very well, John McLaughlin.
Jerry, he's having perhaps one of his better games. He has 10 points in the game so far, and the Bulls have been concerned with him. He's not overly strong. He's been on a weight program. Here you can see, missed jam by the Pistons.
Leon Douglas can't believe that he missed it. Here's Armstrong again. Armstrong has ripped off 12 points coming off the bench. He hit a 16-foot right-handed jumper while we were away. He has sparked his ball club into the lead. They now have an 11-point lead. And so with 5 minutes flat to go in the second quarter, the Bulls have roared into the lead 43-32.
America has all kinds of drivers, so it's a good thing America has Quaker State motor oil. Because even if you drive like this, Quaker State helps cars last. Fact is, you can help avoid expensive engine repairs by using Quaker State regularly. Refined from Pennsylvania-grade crude oil, Quaker State helps cars last. Maybe that's why Quaker State's the best-selling motor oil in America.
See what's new today.
Last spring, 227 specially equipped Chevy Nova police cars were delivered to the Jacksonville, Florida Sheriff's Department. Now, that's a tall order, but no surprise, because law enforcement agencies in 47 states have made Chevy Nova America's best-selling police compact. Now, a lot of the things the police look for in a new car are the same things you'd look for in a new car. Reliability, performance, and value. Chevy Nova, a wanted car, now more than ever.
Why are men switching from aerosol hairsprays to Vitalis Super Hold Pump Spray?
The pump? Because it doesn't spray any aerosol propellants.
The pump? Well, it costs less to use. Save money.
It's because the pump is stronger. Can hold longer than the best-selling aerosol.
The Pump. Vitalis Super Hold Pump Spray. Now with an even finer spray. Why don't you switch from your aerosol to...
The pump. The pump.
These two fans look like they must be from Chicago because Chicago leads 43-32 with 5 minutes left to go as we broadcast here in the second quarter in Detroit. And the Pistons were leading throughout the first quarter. Now have found themselves in a buzzsaw as Lanier tries to take things inside and does. And beats Artis Gilmore underneath. And Gilmore has scored 3 and Lanier has now pumped in 11. It is 43-34. That's the score here in Detroit. A reminder, the highlights of the Phoenix Open will be coming your way tomorrow from 5 to 6 o'clock Eastern Time. The Phoenix Open today was rained out. A foul call on the play. That'll be the third foul against Chris Ford. It is not a shooting foul. It is the third team foul called. No, it is the first team foul called against Detroit. Gilmore over to Van Leer. Chris Ford has it. Ford trying to start something for Detroit. 43-34. His club is down by 9. He's paired against Van Leer. Look at Van Leer try and drop off and help out against Lanier. A soft touch by Ralph Simpson. He hasn't played much at all lately. But Ralph Simpson out of Michigan State bangs in his first 2. That makes it 43-36.
Here you see the Pistons coming in with big guards trying to take advantage of the smaller Chicago guards, and Ralph Simpson, being a very fine shooter, does have the capability of doing it. There's Armstrong, first miss in some time. He had 12 straight points.
Yes, he did. He had made 6 in a row. That ties his NBA high, and he finally shows that he's human. With 3 minutes and 41 seconds left to go in the second quarter, it is 43-36. Picked up and in on the left side. That was Leon Douglas. So right now, Detroit has gone with a double pivot situation. Actually, a high-low pivot, if you will, with Leon Douglas and Bob Lanier. Trying to do something outside. Landsberger shows you he's big, but he shows you some talent out there.
That really was a forced shot that went down for Landsberger, and I'm sure had he missed that, Badger would have been a little upset with him. Now, the Pistons going with this double pivot, they do it quite often. Leon Douglas has done a fine job for the Pistons this year. You must keep him off the boards. He is not a good shooter, but he will go to the basket.
Ralph Simpson, the forgotten man. Ralph Simpson, the forgotten man, had played in only 8 of 15 games since Bob Kaufman returned as the coach here. That was Van Leer with his penetration, his first 2 points of the ball game. They're going to have to get some more points out of Van Leer.
They certainly are. Van Leer is going to have to go to the basket, as he has recently, especially against Milwaukee the other night. Now, Simpson, he can shoot that outside jump shot. In the ABA, he was great at shooting the three-point shot. And you can see Douglas here once again turning, going into the basket, putting the pressure on the defensive player and drawing the foul.
John, I have to say it. That's a mismatch underneath with Douglas going against Johnson.
It sure is, and of course, Detroit aware of it. You can see that they're going to it. Chris Ford makes the pass in to Douglas, who is isolated on Mickey Johnson. Mickey is not going to be able to stop him. He must play in front of him, try to prevent the pass from coming in.
Wilbur Holland has 3 fouls. That is the third on Johnson. So right now, Detroit is in trouble. They're in trouble with a foul situation with their starters. 2:40 left to go. We are in the second quarter. The lead is 4, 47-43. Detroit trailing Chicago. Chicago going to their bench early this afternoon, something they're going to have to do to get in the playoff. There's the outlet pass inside on the penetration. Scott May missed the shot. Douglas all alone. Down to Gus Gerard. This will bring the ball game up to within 2. And now the Pistons come bouncing back. The Detroit fans are hollering as Gus Gerard makes it a 2-point ball game with 2 minutes and 11 seconds to go in the second quarter. Chicago leading by a pair. Mengelt against Simpson. This has been the battle of the substitutes this afternoon. And, of course, that's the strength of any good ball club. Not just 5 or 6 men. They got to come in off the bench now and then. Scott May. 10 points for Scott May. 1:46 to go. 49-45. That's Simpson. Now Bob Lanier. Lanier showing you how tough he is outside. Guess that right arm is not bothering him. We welcome the fans that have just joined us, and here in Detroit, the Pistons are in white and the Bulls are in red. It's a Donnybrook here. The score, 49 Chicago, 47 for Detroit. Detroit in the white uniforms, and Gus Gerard will be jumping. He is 6'8". They're going to pair Artis Gilmore at 7'2" against him. These two men jumped at the start of the game because Gerard can jump, but he's no match for Gilmore. They'll jump it again. It's a false jump. I'm Jerry Gross, along with John McLaughlin. We're here in Detroit, Michigan. The NBA on CBS bouncing around from Boston here in Detroit. 49-47. The visitors leading Chicago. These teams have met 8 times, and neither team has won by more than 8 in the last 8 games, as John Mengelt shows you some outside ability, John McLaughlin.
Well, the guards have really done it for Chicago. 12 for Mengelt and 12 for Armstrong. Now, also, Chicago must be aware of going into Gilmore quite a bit more. The Pistons went 3:22 without scoring, but then they came roaring back to close the gap.
Scott May bringing it up. They lose it, and it goes out of bounds over the end line. Situation in the second quarter with a score, 51-47, and Chicago leads. Now Norm Van Leer starting something outside, calling out a play. They're going to try and go inside if they can. They are really dropping off on Landsberger. Douglas playing what looks like almost right behind Lanier, trying to help out. And when you get that kind of outside shooting from anybody, it's tough. 14 points for the rookie, or 12 for the rookie Armstrong, and 14 for Mengelt. So the outside shooting of Mengelt and Armstrong have loosened things up, and it is now 53-47. With Chicago showing they have some ability. They have started a love affair back in Chicago with their fans, no doubt about it. They went bananas Friday night.
Well, those fans are really a factor in their home games, that's for sure. Here you see Norm Van Leer penetrating again, but Gilmore getting the basket that May missed.
Gilmore really showed you something on that play. He came bouncing back. 5 points for Artis Gilmore. And there it is, the horn that ends the second quarter. So at the end of the first half, it is 55-47. Now we go to Boston, Massachusetts for a report from Don Criqui and Gus Johnson.
Welcome you back to Boston. The Celtics in the white uniforms holding to a 9-point lead at the moment, 53-44. And they have Curtis Rowe going to the free throw line at the moment. There is the big guy from UCLA, as a foul is called on Bob Gross of Portland. His third personal foul.
He has had some kind of a first half, Curtis Rowe has this afternoon. Dave Cowens is playing very well. He's 5 for 6 from the field, 2 for 2 from the line. He has a total of 12 points, and he has 5 rebounds.
It started off as a fast-breaking game. Both teams were going flat out from one end of the floor to the other. Now it's coming to a bit more of a pattern game. There have been some turnovers as the second quarter wears on. A very intense game. Almost of playoff dimensions. Both teams working very, very hard inside. A lot of fighting for the rebound. Cowens is playing as well as he can play, and that's great. Saved by Neal. That Sanders thought it might have been out of bounds.
Well, they look, Don. They are such a heady ball club that it's unreal.
Cowens again rips it down. Leads out to Bing. 2 on 3. Trailblazers shut off the break as 3 men rally back. But Wicks comes down the lane. And Sid Wicks is called for a travel. We'll watch Dave Cowens off the defensive board.
We can see this play right here, off the rebound here, when Dave gets the ball out. He gets it out here real good out to Dave Bing. I think Bing held up just a little bit too long on this pass. He should have gave it up to Rowe, and he might have had a layup because he had Twardzik on him.
And Bing comes up with the ball and again looks to break. JoJo White. Cowens is playing high a good deal of the time, keeping Owens away and keeping that lane clean. Those Celtics like to work plays down low. And here comes JoJo White leaning into the basket. He hits the bucket. And the Celtics have their biggest lead, 57-44.
And it looks like they're going to improve to make that lead a lot bigger. For the simple fact is that they're not giving them any second shots at the hoop at all.
Now Lionel Hollins cools off the Celtics at foot for the moment, hitting that nice jump shot. He has 11 points.
32.
Borgic hawking the ball as you see the time remaining in the first half. 36 seconds to go. The Celtics had the lead 33-25 at the quarter. Now they go back up again by 13 points as JoJo White comes down the lane.
Boy, he makes it look so easy, Don. He just took his time, went off the pick, knew how much time he had, took the easy jumper.
The shot clock shows 12 as you see the game clock now winds down to 12. Portland will have to get a shot away. Dave Bing way in the air. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Lost the handle, the buzzer sounds. And so the first half ends, and they're standing and cheering the Celtics at Boston Garden. The Boston Celtics, their running game going, their hallmark, aggressive defense very much in evidence, and they open up a 13-point lead at the half, 59-46.
Hi, everyone. I'm Don Criqui. And this year at halftime on CBS coverage of NBA basketball, we have some of the top players in the league matched up in the old schoolyard game of horse, where a player must duplicate his opponent's shots or be assessed a penalty letter. 5 misses means 5 letters. That spells horse, and he's out. Today we have Bubbles Hawkins going against Pete Maravich, and for more on the rules, here's Mendy Rudolph.
The basic rules of horse are as follows. The player in control must describe his shot beforehand. Now, 2 consecutive shots from the same area are not allowed unless someone moves at least 5 feet away. There are trick shots allowed. However, the same trick shot cannot be attempted more than once in the contest. The flip of the coin will determine who goes first. Now, there's going to be disputes out there, and if there are, my word will be the final judge.
And Bubbles Hawkins won the flip, so he'll lead away.
Okay, Bubbles, call your shot.
Jump shot. Straight in.
Jump shot straight in. Maravich.
Outside the line, jump in with 2 feet.
This is a trick shot
backboard.
now.
Jump in the line, off the backboard. Spin on.
There you go, Bubbles.
He's got a lot of tricks.
Jump it on in, spin it off the backboard.
It got to be a bank.
It's got to be a bank.
There's the whistle, and the first letter goes up on Hawkins.
Right hand hook off the board across the lane.
Right hand hook. Off the board. Bubbles, left hand hook. You're left-handed. You'll have to try your strong hand. Hand makes. Maravich has the
Scoop
choice.
off the board.
Scoop off the board.
One hand scoop off the board.
That's a trick shot. On the other side, Bubbles, you're left-handed. Hold on now.
Little scoop shot tougher than it looks. Bubbles has since been waived by the New Jersey Nets, but he's very much in this competition.
And makes. Under pressure.
Off the backboard.
Off the backboard. Off the backboard, Bubbles. And makes. Maravich with the call. Let's hear it, Pete.
Just regular shot. Regular jump shot.
Regular jump shot.
That's his money shot. He's the current NBA scoring leader. Was the leader last season.
Bubbles with a regular jump shot.
Regular.
Regular swish, Bubbles.
Another whistle, another letter on Bubbles Hawkins. We're coming to you from the Omni International Complex in Atlanta. We thank the Atlanta Hawks for their cooperation.
2-hand scoop right here.
2-hand scoop. We have an R for Hawkins.
We do indeed. He's now down 3 letters to none to Maravich.
Regular jump shot.
Regular jump shot. And makes.
He'll put you away with that one. So now Maravich has almost closed out Hawkins.
Well, bounce it off your head, Mendy, into the basket.
No chance. I'm not one of the props.
Mendy's only a referee here today.
Regular right-hand hook.
Bubbles will take a left-handed hook.
Players were selected on their basis of free shooting.
And makes.
Just regular jump shot.
Regular jump shot from about 20 feet. And loses the lead. At this point, Hawkins. The door is open.
Jump shot.
Jump shot made. Maravich must do it.
Bubbles gets back in it. Puts let up on Pistol Pete.
Jump shot.
Knocks another one down.
Jump shot makes. Maravich misses.
Jump shot.
Regular jump shot.
He's got the advantage back. He can close out Hawkins here.
That's it.
That will do it. Pistol Pete Maravich, the NBA scoring leader, advances to the second round with a win over Bubbles Hawkins.
If I had to shoot regular shots on you, no way.
Now let's meet Pistol Pete Maravich, who just advanced with a win over Bubbles Hawkins. Pete, there's a lot of young kids watching now who would admire the way you play. How many hours a day would you spend with a basketball, bouncing and shooting, and say when you're 12 years old?
When I was 12, Don, during the summer months, about 8 hours a day, between 8 and 8.5, and during the winter months, about 4 hours a day.
So some work went into all this, huh?
You don't get here by just wishing it.
A loser in the first round gets a check for $500. The winner, of course, advances. And next week, you'll be watching Cassie Russell go against Mickey Johnson of the Chicago Bulls.
This afternoon on CBS. Let's look at the statistics on the first half of play. You see that with regard to the two teams shooting from the field, they're all even. The advantage from the foul shooting area has gone decidedly to Chicago. As Chicago at the foul line, 7 out of 8, 11 for 16 for Detroit. In the assist department, Chicago doing a little more. Rebounding, there's not too much of a difference there. A total of 3, 20-17, the advantage to Chicago. Turnovers always a big factor. With Detroit having their problems, they have 12 of them and only 8 for Chicago. Individually speaking, for Detroit, Bob Lanier is 4 out of 5, has been held to 2 rebounds and leads his club with 13 points. Eric Money, the man John McLaughlin just talked to, is 4 out of 6 in 19 minutes. He has 5 rebounds also for 12 points. Leon Douglas in the second quarter went 3 out of 5 with 7 points in 14 minutes. He played most of his action in that second quarter. And the other scoring you see individually, 4 out of 6 for Eric Money. He is the top shooter there along with Leon Douglas. And for the Chicago Bulls, individually they have been led with 7 rebounds by Artis Gilmore, but he's been held to 5 points. Mengelt off the bench has been doing the job, also with Tate Armstrong. John is 7 for 10 from the field, and Armstrong is 6 out of 8. Armstrong played 11 minutes and had 12 points. Mengelt played 12 minutes and had 14 points. So there's the difference there, as Scott May, shooting from the field, is 4 out of 9 with 10 points in 15 minutes. That's Bob Kaufman talking to his team, trying to get them back. We'll watch for the press coming up. Bench scoring, there's the difference, as put together by our statistical crew. Our thanks to George Maskin for that, 32-13. A big scoring advantage there, John.
And in particular at the guard position, Chicago's guards made 26 points, while the Pistons reserve guards had only 6.
So we're starting the second half of play. Leon Douglas missing inside, and welcome to the fans that have just joined us here in Detroit. The Pistons are in white. The Bulls with the ball are in red. We've just started the third quarter of action. Inside, trying to go for it with a jump ball, Artis Gilmore. Tied up, I believe, by John Shoemate or Bob Lanier. The score, Chicago 55 and Detroit 47. Outscoring at one time in the second quarter. Detroit 16-1. The Bulls have taken the lead. Norm Van Leer along with, on the back line, Wilbur Holland. He came out of the game, the man with the ball, earlier with 3 fouls. That's been a big factor. Big factor early in the game. Scott May showing versatility outside. Scott May now has 12 points.
The Bulls certainly shooting the ball well. At the end of the first quarter, they were only shooting 40%. By halftime, shooting 53%. Not only are they shooting from the outside, but they're making Detroit turn the ball over. They're going down to the other end and getting some layups.
That's Chris Ford, the co-captain out of Villanova. Now in his 6th year in the NBA, making it 57-49. 11 minutes to go in the third quarter on Super Bowl Sunday. But this is the NBA on CBS. A good pick on that play.
That's a set play that Chicago runs very well. Boston runs a play somewhat like it. It's a double screen down low with the center handling the ball. The forward or sometimes guard comes from the weak side all the way around to shoot the jump shot.
The lead is 10 points, the biggest advantage so far this afternoon for the Chicago Bulls, who have it again. Knocked out of bounds by Chris Ford. Good play by Chris defensively. Chicago really rolling, shooting 63.5% Friday against Milwaukee. They found the range here in the second and third quarter. 10.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. That's Holland. Bob Lanier of Detroit with a rebound. Over to Chris Ford. Ford with that good push shot outside is a smart player. Not too smart on that one, though. He couldn't find the handle, and Wilbur Holland steals it away. Here's Holland over to Scott May. Chicago is as hot as a firecracker. The Bulls with the biggest lead. They're up 61-49.
Chicago doing it with defense. They've tightened up quite a bit defensively, making Detroit turn it over. Here you see Ford getting into the lane. Of course, he has the uncanny ability. He's not overly quick, but he can still penetrate. He gets into the lane area and makes a good basket right there. Now, the Bulls, on the other hand, I'm sure they're going to continue to run when they have the break, but still they run their set offense very well. Woo.
Holland really had the good move. The penetration in somewhat by Van Leer, and then back to the trail man, and it's 63-51. The lead of 12 for the surprising Chicago Bulls. Outside, showing he has some muscle there. Chris Ford has rammed home 3 field goals in a row in the third quarter. He's got 8 points.
Now, to get back in the game or close the gap, Detroit must do what Chicago did. They have to tighten up their defense, make Chicago turn the ball over, and then get down to the other end and score some quick points.
That's Mickey Johnson against John Shoemate. And out of bounds, good defensive play by the former Notre Dame star. Mickey is a little unhappy. 9:12 to go, third quarter. Chicago 63, and it's Detroit 53. We have a timeout on the court. Chicago whipped the lead of 10 over Detroit. The action here in the Motor City in Michigan.
Ryder rents trucks.
I'll be seeing you, sweetheart.
Trucks you can count on. And Ryder tunes those trucks razor sharp, ready for anything. When Ryder rental trucks take off on a mission, there can only be one ending.
You nervous, huh, kid?
Mission accomplished. Ryder, the best truck money can rent.
Tonight's game's gonna be on TV, Steve. You need a good shave.
I did shave, Havlicek, but my electric razor just doesn't do such a great job.
Maybe it's not your razor, it's your beard. It just lays there. Get it to stand up. With electric shave. Williams Electric Shave. Let me tell you, it's really good. It sets up your beard so your razor shaves closer, smoother, with less irritation. Make your beard stand up. Make your razor shave better. Get electric shave. Oh, man.
Enjoying the trip in your GM car?
Oh, yeah.
Want to keep that great GM feeling?
Oh, you bet.
Then shake hands with Mr. Goodwrench. He's dedicated to improved customer care at more than 6,000 participating GM dealers.
You want genuine GM parts. You want your car fixed right on time. That's what I want, too. Caring about your GM car helps keep me in business.
Keep that great GM feeling with genuine GM parts.
Tonight on 60 Minutes, a startling hidden camera report of big city officials caught in the act of taking bribes. This and other stories on tonight's special edition of 60 Minutes.
We're back here in Detroit. You see the Portland-Boston score. Bill Walton not playing in that game. And back here in Detroit. The struggle between the two big men is Bob Lanier and Artis Gilmore. Second foul called against Bob Lanier. He has 13 points. Gilmore has 5, but Gilmore has out-rebounded him. And more important, Gilmore's club, John McLaughlin, is up by 10.
Something rather interesting, a couple of things as a matter of fact. The Chicago Bulls had the first 5 turnovers in the game. Since then, Detroit turned it over 13-3. Also, the Bulls getting up more shots at half, 45-34. And coming into this game, you would expect Detroit to get up many more shots than Chicago.
Well, we told you earlier in the game, Detroit in the last 6 games has had a frightful time with turnovers. They have been, well, they've been averaging 26.5. That's hurt them. The shot taken and scored by Eric Money. He's got 14 points, and it is 65-55, the lead of 10 for Chicago. 8:49 to go. Wilbur Holland has been held well in check because he hasn't played too much, frankly, due to the 3 personal fouls. He's bothered by Shoemate as he goes up for the shot. It'll go over to Detroit. It's Detroit ball, and the crowd here in Michigan hoping that the Pistons, who have been averaging 110 points a game under Bob Kaufman, compared to 103.5 under their former coach. The fans here hoping they can come back. They're down by 10. Shoemate trying the shot. Lanier with a rebound. They're going to have to get something more out of Lanier. Inside, Ford, outside. Up against Norm Van Leer. Shoemate in the corner left against Johnson. Lanier looking to set the screen high against Gilmore. And a whistle. Up on the bench across the way in the checkered jacket, you see Larry Jones, the assistant coach of Detroit, along with Bob Kaufman, who's the general manager as well as the interim coach now. Shoemate feeding well inside and a whistle. Let's see what happened. Joe Gashu makes the call. A pushing foul has been called against Artis Gilmore. That'll be only the first team foul.
With Gilmore and Lanier in there really battling and pushing one another, I can't imagine even trying to get around them. If they lean on a normal-sized man, he may end up in the 4th row.
A loose ball foul on the play. When Lanier shoots outside, Shoemate has to do the job inside. And a foul was called against Gus Gerard. That is his second. 8 minutes to go. We're in the 3rd quarter. A 10-point lead for the team with the ball, the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls leading Detroit in the battle in the conference.
Well, that's a pick and roll there where Gilmore got called for being a pulling guard that time and taking some defensive players with him. His finger is hurt, Jerry. He's rubbing it. He has a hyperextension of the 3rd finger on his left hand.
That, of course, is his shooting hand. Lanier goes down. He was corked on the play, or else it just went out of bounds, and it'll belong now to Chicago. More important, Artis Gilmore, I think, is going to have to come out of the game because he now has 4 fouls, John.
Well, Jerry, you know what you're talking about. He just went out of the game, and he seems to really be having difficulty. And, of course, they're both so strong, and Lanier really putting a lot of weight and leaning on Gilmore so much so that I think it's really affected his game quite a bit.
Now, this is where Detroit will have to make their move. The foul call away outside on the shooter, Mickey Johnson, was fouled by John Shoemate. I would imagine this is the time when Detroit is going to have to make their move. They've got Bob Lanier underneath against Cliff Pondexter. Pondexter at 6'9". Lanier, as you know, is 6'11".
Well, I think that is an advantage, of course, and they must take advantage of it. Also, I don't think Detroit has made good use of John Shoemate. He hasn't played that well so far. He was out much the first half, of course, and now he's going to be looking to put the ball up, and I'm sure he's going to be working under the basket quite a bit more.
Mickey Johnson has just dropped 2 in, and it's now 67-55. The lead again is 12 for the team from the Windy City. Chicago up against Detroit. Ford for Detroit goes over Holland. He has 4 field goals in this quarter, 10 points in the game, and it's the lead of 10 again. Shoemate in the corner against Johnson. Up high now. Pondexter trying to set the pick for Van Leer. That is made. Detroit trying to get a little better defense. Dropping off, sagging. Tipped in by Johnson. So the kid from Aurora College, who never played in high school, has come alive. He's got 10 points. Johnson averaging 20 on the year. What a year of improvement it's been for him. Ford saves it. Over to Gerard. In there a long time. No whistle to the rebound. Taken off by Johnson. Save before it goes out of bounds by Scott May. 69-57. Chicago trying to play their controlled game and hang on to this lead. Pondexter not a threat outside at all, but Holland is. The rebound taken away by Shoemate. Now Detroit trying to cut the gap down to 10 again. Eric Money with it. Detroit led in the first quarter by 8. Then it was tied. That's Lanier making his move. Fouled in the act of shooting the basket count. That's the man they've got to go to.
Well, that's, of course, very smart of the Pistons to come up and go to Lanier. Pondexter cannot guard him. He is just too big for Pondexter, and Lanier can go either way. He gets into that left hook and makes it.
6.5 to go, third quarter, 69-59 Chicago.
"100 miles from nowhere, you prospect for black gold. With nothing but a steel pipe and sheer muscle, you punch holes in the seafloor, knowing that more often than not, you'll come up empty. But you take the gamble anyway and give it everything you've got. Now comes Miller time. Time to head for shore and the best tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life, America's quality beer since 1855.
When it's time to relax, one beer stands clear. Miller tastes too good to hurry through. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Miller Beer.
See what's new today in a Chevrolet.
Chevy's all-new Malibu has all kinds of good news for here and now. Good news about fuel economy. 29 miles per gallon here on the highway, 21 here in the city. It's here and now. There's also good news about room here on the inside, here in the trunk. It's here and now. The all-new Malibu. It's here at your Chevy dealers now.
We are back here in Detroit, 6.5 minutes to go. The booing you are hearing is from the Chicago Bulls fans in the upper deck to our right as they're waving banners. Now for a report on the Portland-Boston game, let's go to Don Crickey and Gus Johnson in Boston.
Right now, we want to thank those who are joining us from Chicago and Detroit. We'll be going there shortly to pick up more action on that game. Right now, the Boston Celtics, who had a 17-point lead, have seen their lead cut down to just 8 points at 63-55. Boston has the ball. They've been cold for the last 3 minutes of this third quarter. We have 9:08 to play in it.
Well, plus the Blazers have been playing a little more tenacious defense. They're forcing them out of their range again, too.
Working hard off the defensive board, gives the Celtics a new 24-second shot clock. Wicks goes up. And finally, the Celtics get one down, and they open up a 10-point lead.
They're hustling. They're doing the things that they have to do to win this ballgame. That's how Portland got back into the ballgame, was running it and getting back inside with it.
Portland's been going to Big Maurice Lucas down low here in the third quarter to get back in the game. And here's a foul call. Let's look at that last one again.
Okay, here we go right now. Wicks gets the ball. He goes baseline. He gives an excellent fake right here. Comes back up. Nice soft shot. Got 2 points.
65-55, Boston in the lead with 8:25 to play in the third quarter.
Welcome back to Detroit. Jerry Gross with John McLaughlin. It was a 9-point lead for the Bulls when we left you momentarily, and now it is down to 5. John Shumate with a layup from Gus Gerard cut it to 7, and Chris Ford with a driving layup cut it down to 5. The NBA on CBS. Remember, next week, 6 regional games. For those of you to enjoy, Golden State goes to Philadelphia. Atlanta is in Cleveland. Detroit against New Orleans. And then the NBA regional games also, the remaining 3 games. The Knickerbockers go to Denver, Chicago, over to Milwaukee, and Washington will visit Phoenix. We hope you'll find where the games are listed in your area. And John McLaughlin, I know you're off and away next weekend. Where will you be?
Well, I'll be in Milwaukee, where I've been many times with the Chicago Bulls, and that, of course, will be a very interesting game. It always is. They have a very fine tradition going between those 2 teams.
And, of course, I'll be in Phoenix. I'll be watching Washington going against the Phoenix Suns. Chatting with you and talking about that game. Looking forward to that one. That's the NBA on regional television next week. And right now you're looking at Bob Kaufman. I'll be down there with Steve Jones next week in Phoenix, watching what's going on with the Suns and Washington.
How come you get the nice sunshine of Phoenix, Jerry? You know, that sounds like a pretty good deal.
Speaking about Phoenix, it is a good deal. And today, of course, we're going to have all the action coming up on the Phoenix Open tomorrow, the report for you. And we'll be discussing the world of golf tomorrow right here on CBS. 5 minutes and 35 seconds left to go. We're in the third quarter here in Detroit on Super Bowl Sunday. 69-64, a tight ball game. John Mengelt comes back into the ball game. He had a tremendous second quarter. He was the difference in the second quarter as he brought his club back, doing an excellent job. He had 8 points, and Tate Armstrong also doing a good job for Chicago. He came in and he had 12 points. Now it is cut down 69-64. Van Leer driving and scoring with a good move. Van Leer driving and looking to the hoop for the first time, really. Make it the second time. He's got 4 points this afternoon. That makes it 71-64. 5 minutes to go in the third period. That's Gerard trying to go with a bank shot. Shoemate really muscling for the shot behind 2 men. And the crowd loves it. They have called a foul against Chicago.
There you see the value of getting to that offensive board. You get the second shot by putting the ball up. Gerard actually has a nice shot. He misses, but Shoemate coming in there, he draws the foul very nicely. And what Detroit did offensively, they, of course, are running a pick and roll with Lanier and Ford. Ford comes off. If he cannot shoot or give it back to Lanier, he goes to the weak side, which he did then, found Gus Gerard, who missed the jump shot.
Shoemate has had a scoring binge. He's been hitting 62% since Bob Kaufman took over for Herb Brown. Only the second player from Notre Dame to play for the Pistons. The other fellow, Ron Reed, remember him? A pitcher. Now, I believe, with Philadelphia.
As a matter of fact, I remember him very well. Played against him at Notre Dame when I was in Indiana, and he's an outstanding pitcher.
Hey, John, he was a tough guy on the boards, if I recall, when he played in the NBA also.
Sure was.
It's now 71-66, 4:50 to go. Fighting for the ball and not getting it is Chris Ford. Pondexter gets it, and here's Scott May. And the Chicago fans up to our right go wild in the balcony. It is 16 points for Scott May. Chicago 73, Detroit 66. Pondexter in the game against Lanier. They must go to Lanier. In foul trouble, Artis Gilmore. It's loose. Mengelt coming up with it. Mengelt over to Van Leer. Stolen away momentarily by Ford. Picked up by Landsberger. Good double pump, but I think he traveled on the play. Yes, he did. He traveled on the play, and the Detroit fans go wild.
Lanier does a good job of coming out and intimidating a shooter, which he did then. Landsberger should have given the ball up, then moved away from Lanier and tried to move the ball around and find him on the other side.
Now the Pistons are looking for a little more discipline, trying to go inside and see if they can find Lanier. That's a good shot for money. He was in tight, loses the rebound. He might have been fouled as he got the rebound off.
Once again, the Pistons going to that one-on-one. They tried to go to it before, and Mengelt took the ball away from Money. That time they cleared the side again. Money on Norm Van Leer. He got inside. He gets inside very well. He had a good shot, got the rebound back.
So they're going to call a foul. The foul will be called, I believe, against Van Leer. Let's see what they call it. They call it now. It's going to belong to Chicago. Gilmore comes back in the game underneath. So even though Gilmore has committed 4 fouls with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, his coach, Ed Badger, feels he's got to get him back in the game. Now Landsberger outside, feeding the big guy, pushed from behind. No whistle on the play. Look at him back in. Good shot by Gilmore. Gilmore has 9 points in the game. That is only his third field goal. Lanier has outscored him 16-9, but Lanier's club is trailing. Ford trying to find some room, shooting off balance and trying to get the foul.
Chris Ford sometimes is amazing. You know, he's not overly a quick player, but he's very aggressive. He seems to have quite a bit of energy. I guess that explains why when he goes out for a restaurant, he picks the restaurant by the dessert menu. Goes in and orders dessert first. That gives him all that energy he's got, I guess.
He's got some energy because he's most durable. He's playing this afternoon in his 225th consecutive game. That means a lot, I think, to the players as Ford makes the first one. People don't really understand, but a durable player is a guy that has to play with some kind of injury and some tiredness sometimes. This guy just plays and plays.
Jerry, if you're going to play professional basketball, you're definitely going to play a lot of times when you're tired and hurt. It's just part of the game. You play so many nights that it has to be done.
75-67 is the score. With the ball, Chicago has the lead. Stolen away by Ford. He knocks it away to Carr. Carr brings it inside, and going for 2 is Gus Gerard. Also, Ford got a piece of it. He's the 8th steal man in the NBA, and you just saw there why he's not too flashy, but he gets the job done.
He does a good job, and whenever he's in there, you have to be aware of him. Now, defensively, Detroit, they want to push Chicago to the sides as much as they can. And secondly, they're starting to run. They're running much better the second half.
The lead is 6. That's Gilmore. Forcing the shot a little. Landsberger really hustling for the rebound. Bob Lanier of Detroit. Here come the Pistons. They're down 75 to 69. Eric Money looking inside, trying to find Lanier. Gerard goes in the hole. Lanier goes. He scores! 18 for the big guy. 18 in the NBA on CBS. Sending it to you from Detroit. The Pistons battling back. They were down by 12. They trail now by the score of 75 to 71. Mengelt drives. Will he get the foul or did he charge? A blocking foul called against Detroit. You're watching the foul come up now. He jumped in front of him. That's the call. 2:26 to go.
Wherever you may roam, you'll find our name is known. You can trust a Delco. Thanks, Delco. Delco Freedom Battery. When things are getting thick and you want to start real quick, you can trust a Delco. Thanks, Delco. Delco Freedom Battery. They've got the stuff when the starting's tough. You can trust a Delco. Thanks, Delco. Delco Freedom Battery. Delco Freedom. Thanks, Delco.
A year ago, I reported on the Bell System's commitment to solving business problems. We now have teams of problem solvers for every industry symbolized here. Transportation, retailing, finance, healthcare, education, and many more, for which we've designed communication systems to answer business problems. We're not just designing a symbol for your industry, we're redesigning the Bell System's marketing approach to serve your needs.
Each year, thousands of homes are lost to fire. That's why you need Allstate's homeowners insurance. But did you know many other homes are lost to another major disaster? The owner dies before the mortgage is paid. For that, you need mortgage protection insurance from Allstate Life. Your family needs both kinds of protection, and your Allstate agent can put the two together. See him soon.
A 3-year All-Star in the NBA as a player. This is Bob Kaufman, the general manager. He was with 4 clubs in the league. Seattle, Chicago, I think he was with Atlanta, finished there with Buffalo for a while. And at one time was the assistant general manager of the Atlanta Hawks. Forced out of basketball due to an arthritic hip condition. John Mengelt at the foul line. Mengelt, who did a good job on the bench, missing. Mengelt from the foul line, it's 76%. On the year, Mengelt averaging 9 points a game. He's come off the bench to do a good job. Gets his 15th point this afternoon. That makes it 76 to 71. The action coming your way in Detroit with 2:20 to go in the third quarter. Eric Money. Van Leer with the rebound. He can really run him. Mengelt. M.L. Carr grabs the rebound. Here comes Detroit. Gerard missing. Welcome to the fans that have just joined us. Chris Ford has just banked one in inside, and a 12-point Chicago lead has been cut down to 3 with 1 minute and 49 seconds left to go. The action coming your way from Detroit. I'm Jerry Gross, along with John McLaughlin. The Pistons are in white, the Bulls are in red. We now have 1 minute and 45 to go in the third quarter. It's been a good ball game, an exciting one, and a seesaw game.
Oh, the Pistons doing a good job of tightening up their defense. They're trying to force to the corners and then sag in the middle to give as much help as they can. But also at the other end, they've been shooting 52% in this quarter.
Tate Armstrong, the rookie, missing from Chicago, and a foul. You saw it. It'll bring the ball down at the other end of the court, where they are now. It occurred in the area where they were just shooting, and it'll be against Chicago. So Detroit's turn to come roaring back as Bob Kaufman talks to Eric Money. He's got his ball club moving, John.
Well, after the first half, Detroit really did not run that well. They did not get enough shots up. They only had 34 shots while the Bulls got up 45. You can see now that they're much more aware of trying to get the ball out, get more shots up, score more points, and of course tighten up the defense.
It is now 76 to 74. Gus Girard has just made 2 from the foul line. It's a 1-point lead. A 1-point advantage for Chicago with 1 minute and 35 to go in the third quarter. An exciting basketball game as regional basketball on CBS comes your way. Mengelt with it in the corner. Mengelt going into Gilmore. Guarded by Lanier. Rebound, batted around, taken off by whom? Has Lanier got it? Stolen away by Scott May. Knocked out of his hands and over the end line by M.L. Carr. The score with 1 minute and 17 to go in the third quarter. 76-75, Chicago leading. Mengelt taking the shot, missing. Rebounded underneath by whom? Back into the arms of Tate Armstrong and a whistle on the rebound. Called by the trail referee.
John Mengelt, of course, playing very well in particular in the first half. Now, Johnny has the ability to put points on the board, but at times, in getting his nose on the rim, he can hurt his team by taking bad shots or by not going to the percentage basketball that he should.
Landsberger made the foul. They're in the penalty situation, and so Eric Money is at the line. And he gets a 1-on-1 situation because that is in excess of 4 team fouls called against Chicago. That ties it. Now, Detroit bounces into the lead for the first time since the second quarter. It is 77-76 as the Pistons come back into the lead. They're trying to snap a losing streak. Chicago on a winning streak of 2. Detroit, they've lost 4 in a row. Here's Carr with a steal. It's going to be 3-on-1. That's Money in the middle, giving it back to Carr. Money tips once, misses. Girard has it, stolen away, taken off by Chicago. Here's Mengelt. Mengelt trying to put his club into the lead. Gilmore puts Chicago into the lead. So the Bulls come bouncing through. 11 points for Artis Gilmore. Lanier has 18 in their struggle. 35 seconds to go in the third quarter. 78-77. As the visiting team, the Chicago Bulls have it. That's Bob Lanier jumping into the lap of Gilmore. Girard scores. He was fouled in the act of shooting.
Once again, you see the value of Bob Lanier. Now here he is making a move. He spins. He does that very well. But here he makes the pass somewhat like a guard. He finds Girard open. And, of course, he got open because the Bulls keying on Lanier, trying to double, triple, team the big guy.
Gus Girard, who moves well around the basket. Girard reminds you a little bit of the great forward of Denver, Bobby Jones.
Somewhat. He's a little bit smaller than Bobby Jones. Of course, he played there, Jerry. He knows how Bobby Jones can play. And more importantly, probably, he has that jumping ability of a Bobby Jones.
75% shooter. Gus Girard entered the NBA with Denver, if you recall. As John told you, traded from Denver to Buffalo with Chuck Williams for Jim Price. And Girard. That would have made it a lead of 3. It is a lead of 1 for Detroit, but he misses a couple. With 19 seconds to go, we'll count you down. As we're in the third quarter, they'll look for the last shot. 79-78. Will they go in the middle toward Gilmore, or will they take the shot outside? Mengelt with it. Ford guarding him. 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4. Out of bounds she goes. It'll belong to whom? It will belong with 3 seconds to go in the third quarter to Chicago. Chicago is in second place in the Midwest. Detroit 4 games behind them.
The Pistons doing a very good job of taking Chicago out of their offense. Chicago trying to run some double screen downs, and Detroit just making them turn the ball over or not allowing them to get inside.
Knocked out of bounds by Bob Lanier. 1 second left to go. Still time to get a shot off. Clock won't start until it strikes someone's hand or some portion of a body on the court. M.L. Carr steals it at the buzzer. Fine defensive play, and so at the end of 3 quarters here in Detroit, Michigan, the score, the Pistons of Detroit 79, the Bulls of Chicago 78.
Excuse me, sir. I'd like you to try something.
Okay.
Hold out your hand.
Hey, what is that?
That's Track 2 shave cream, and that's another brand. Feel any difference?
The Track 2 feels heavier.
That's because the Track 2 is heavier. It's packed with moisturizers.
Moisturizers?
They help hold the moisture in your skin so your face feels good after you shave.
After I shave?
It'll feel soft and moisturized.
Great. Wait, what do I do now?
Shave.
Track 2, heavy with moisturizers.
The NBA on CBS will continue after this word from your local station. Almost 8 years later, CBS News revisits the veterans of Charlie Company, home from the Vietnam War, Tuesday on CBS.
when I come back. Right. Be sure and stay tuned for the MVP award at the conclusion of the game today. The inbounds play as we go into the third quarter. The Chicago Bulls with the score 79-78. And in the lead, the Detroit Pistons. Tate Armstrong, a rookie, starting on the back line. That's Mickey Johnson. Rebounded underneath by Gus Girard. Now Chris Ford brings it up. Ford looking at a 3-on-3 situation. He's going to hold it up. No, he's not. He's going to take the shot. Gus Girard and Chris Ford have helped bring him back. Ford in the third quarter of action at 13 points. He's got 17. Girard also pumped in 6 points in that quarter. They have really brought their team back. Gilmore making a good move on Lanier. Spun away from him. Gilmore with 13 points. Gilmore with 13 points. And so with 11:14 to go in the final period, it's now 81-80 as Detroit is in the lead. Bob Lanier over to Ford. Ford with 6 seconds on the timer. Looks up at the clock. Gets it into Lanier. He's leaning perfectly for the pass. Another change in the lineup for Chicago. They have come in with Nick Weatherspoon. Weatherspoon at 6'6" from Illinois. Playing in the left corner. He's up against... Well, he's not up against M.L. Carr now. He's up against Gus Girard. That's Mengel. Ford with the rebound. 10.5 minutes to go in the game. 83-80. Detroit with the lead. Carr going over to Girard against Weatherspoon. It's short. Mengelt with the rebound, and here comes Chicago. Mengelt, he's a good driver. When he wants to go to the hoop, he'll go to the hoop. He went to the hoop, but he traveled on the play. And the Chicago fans in the balcony with those white banners are uptight.
I've really never seen Chicago try to run as much as they are today, Jerry, except recently in the Chicago game Friday night, they got the ball out then also.
Eric Money, rebounded by Mickey Johnson. The outlet going over now to Tate Armstrong. For a report on the Portland-Boston game, let's go now to Don Crickey and Gus Johnson in Boston.
Here at Boston Garden, the Celtics in white have the ball, and they are holding to a 1-point lead, 77-76 at the outset of the fourth quarter. The Boston Celtics with a 17-point lead in the third quarter have seen it cut to 1, and here come the Trailblazers with a chance to take the lead as Lionel Hollins leads the break down the middle. Pulls up and gets the roll.
There he is again. He comes down slow. He's got men on the outside of him. He picks what he wants to do.
Lionel Hollins has now scored 19 points, and so we have an 18-point swing in about the last 11 minutes of play. The Trailblazers down by 17, have gone up by 1. And Boston now looks for the good shot as they get more motion in their offense. Havlicek forcing a long shot, not enough there, and Davis takes it inside court for Portland.
That's what's hurting. They need some penetration right now. Like I said, in that third quarter, they outscored them 30-14.
It's 78-77 Portland.
Welcome back to Detroit. A bucket by the rookie Tate Armstrong has just bounced Chicago back into the lead by 1. John McLaughlin here also. Our score now is 84-83, and we have exactly 9 minutes and 4 seconds remaining in the game. On top, the club in red, the Chicago Bulls. Now the Pistons, I believe, are gone for a timeout. So the Detroit Pistons have gone for a timeout with 9 minutes and 1 second left in the game. 84-83, Chicago on top.
See what's new today.
Introducing the third generation Monte Carlo. The third generation of a highly successful personal luxury car. Its highly original styling opens new dimensions in affordable luxury and in comfort. With more rear seat headroom, legroom, and hip room than last year's Monte Carlo. The third generation Monte Carlo. Drive it and put a little distance between yourself and the crowd.
Gentlemen, sales for the third.
8 hours and 4 minutes. Amazing. 9 hours and 6 minutes. Fantastic.
Vicks Sinex long-acting nasal spray is amazing. It can quickly have you breathing as easily as someone with no congestion problem. And then it decongests up to 10 hours.
Tied up. 10 hours. Incredible.
The game?
No, my nasal spray.
Vicks Sinex long-acting. Incredible.
Energy for a strong America.
Today, ships like this are opening vast areas of the ocean for oil exploration. This one's under contract to Exxon, and she's an engineering marvel. Her electronic positioning systems and other special drilling equipment allow us to reach down into waters as deep as 4,000 feet to search for oil. This ship provides Exxon with valuable deep water experience that will help us find more energy for a strong America.
Boxing fans, CBS presents next Saturday the World Lightweight Championship. Roberto Duran, the WBA World Lightweight Champ, taking on Esteban de Jesus, the WBC Lightweight Champion. That's for the undisputed World Championship, televised live from Las Vegas. We have a one-point game here in Detroit with 8:56 to go. And a foul has been called at midcourt. Number 7 is Joe Gashu. Joe, the official, explaining that there is a discrepancy. .483, and we have exactly 9 minutes and 4 seconds remaining in the game. On top, the club in red, the Chicago Bulls. Now the Pistons, I believe, are gone for a timeout. So the Detroit Pistons have gone for a timeout with 9 minutes and 1 second left in the game. 84-83, Chicago on top. Boxing fans, CBS presents next Saturday the World Lightweight Championship. Roberto Duran, the WBA World Lightweight Champ, taking on Esteban de Jesus, the WBC Lightweight Champion. That's for the undisputed World Championship, televised live from Las Vegas. We have a one-point game here in Detroit with 8:56 to go. And a foul has been called at midcourt. Number 7 is Joe Gashu. Joe, the official, explaining that there is a discrepancy on the clock at the scoreboard. And now Ed Badger is in the gray suit. He's over there talking. Ed not too happy right now, looking up at the scoreboard. And he looks across the way to Bob Kaufman as if to say, hey, what can you do? The timer's out. So Ed Badger, the head coach, who has had a tough job turning the Bulls around. He's done apparently a pretty good job at it, John.
He's done a fine job. The pressure's been on him, of course, different times throughout his 2-year span there in Chicago. This guy also, he served on the U.S. Olympic basketball committee, and he was in high school, college basketball, and he joined the Bulls in 1973, and of course, been there ever since.
Well, he was the Bulls coach in the Summer League in California, if I recall, for a couple of years. That helped him immeasurably when he finally did take over Chicago. 8:55 to go. They fixed the scoreboard clock, 84-83. The team in the lead is the team with the basketball. Artis Gilmore against Leon Douglas. Takes him into and out of his sneakers.
Artis Gilmore attacking the basket quite a bit more now. Of course, Douglas is on him. You can see he has that inside move. He fakes, sometimes fakes too often. That time, of course, getting Douglas in the air and leaving the basket wide open for him to jam it home.
Fine play by Gilmore, who really looks aggressive now. That's Gus Girard altering his shot because of Gilmore's outstretched hand. And the Bulls come back. Mickey Johnson throwing at the length of the court. Johnson's pass is knocked out of bounds. Knocked out of bounds by Eric Money. And so Tate Armstrong, the kid who has a new pro high today, will be the man who will inbound it. Boy, this has to make the hearts of Lester Crown and Arthur Wirtz happy back in Chicago, watching their number 1 draft choice do the job. That's the kid with the ball. Bingo, he's got another one. And he's fouled in the act of shooting, or else a foul on the pick, one or the other. 18 points for Tate Armstrong.
Well, it's phenomenal the amount of pushing that's going on in there. And, of course, once Gilmore gets the ball, Douglas and Lanier, whoever happens to be on him, they start pushing him quite a bit. That time, they had a set play where Tate Armstrong came from the weak side all the way around to score his 18th point. Gilmore gave him the ball, and, of course, Gilmore then was pushed right into Tate Armstrong, and it's amazing he made the basketball go in the basket.
Ford was the man who pushed Gilmore. And so the kid from Moultrie, Georgia, Tate Armstrong, a graduate of Duke, drafted number 1 by Chicago, has helped the Bulls this afternoon. They lead by 5. Douglas really moves and goes to the right hand. Leon Douglas now has 9 points. And it is 88-85, the lead of 3 for the team with the ball, the Chicago Bulls. A seesaw duel here in Detroit this afternoon. Norm Van Leer against Eric Money. He forces him to go baseline. He runs into Douglas, back outside. That was to Weatherspoon. Weatherspoon fighting the clock. Tipped in by Johnson. Johnson getting good position inside. So Mickey Johnson now has double figures in 12. 12 points this afternoon. It is a 5-point lead, 90-85 with 7:20 to go. An offensive foul is going to be called, or a blocking foul.
Well, Norm Van Leer read that very well, and he almost got there in time. His feet were not set, so therefore it was a blocking. And what it was, they were trying to set up the pick and roll. You can see Girard going away. Here comes the pick. Money moves a little too soon. And, of course, Van Leer stepping in there draws what he thought would have been a foul, but it was blocking.
M.L. Carr a little too deep for his range, missing the shot. Here comes Chicago. Armstrong looking for the shot, then wanted to go to Weatherspoon, but it's knocked out of bounds by Detroit. You know, each one of these arenas in the NBA, John, and you've played a lot in it, you know them, they have their own personality.
They sure do, Jerry. Of course, today they're all much newer than they were a few years ago. This one in particular, it has some dark areas because of the big scoreboard in the middle, and under each basket it's somewhat dark. It always bothered me a little bit, and this was an arena where I was always very much aware of getting the ball up high in the air because the rims always seemed to be a little high.
We have a double pivot situation now as Bob Lanier re-enters the game along with Leon Douglas. Two big men in the game. Let's see how they do it offensively. It is 90-85, the lead of 5. Lanier is back in the game, really going at it underneath against Gilmore. Now it goes inside to Lanier. Watch the duel. Oh, what a great shooter for a big man.
He sure is, Jerry. And the difficult thing about him is that he goes to his hook left. He can also shoot the jump shot. He can turn either direction. It makes it very difficult to defend him.
M.L. Carr knocked it out of bounds. He has what they call a feminine touch from outside. Very soft and very, very accurate outside. So that big bucket brings him down to within 3. 6.5 to go in the ball game. Chicago 90, Detroit 87.
We're good and tough. We're the Kellys.
The Kellys have a way to save gasoline from the ground up. A steel-belted radial called the Kelly gas pincher. When we tested a set of gas pinchers against our non-radials, the gas pincher pinched from 14.5 up to 31.7 more miles out of a tank of gas. That's hundreds of more miles a year with the gas pinchers.
We're the Kellys. Rolling, rolling, rolling.
Now comes Miller time. You've turned a dangerous ledge of new powder into a harmless pile of snow. Now's the time to head for the best-tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life, America's quality beer since 1855.
If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Miller Beer. See what's new today.
Chevrolet introduces a new kind of space vehicle, the new size Malibu wagon. It has a new and very convenient two-way hatch gate and an amazing amount of interior space. You can load the new size Malibu with the tailgate down or with it up, and when you finish loading, there's still ample room for family and friends. Chevy's new size Malibu wagon, it's the kind of friend a modern family can use.
The Fighting Nightingale, starring Adrienne Barbeau. Nurses ready for action in war-torn Korea. The war just wouldn't have been the same without them. Monday at 9:30, 8:30 Central and Mountain.
6.5 minutes to go in the game. 90-87. The visitors leading. That's Chicago in red with the ball. Van Leer trying to look inside to Mickey Johnson. Gilmore and Lanier really battling inside, leaning on each other. Knocked away by Lanier, but a whistle. A whistle. Did they call it on Lanier? It may not have been on Lanier. Welcome to the fans that have just joined us here in Detroit. The Pistons are in white. The Chicago Bulls are in red. The score with 6:26 to go in the game is 90-87. And the team in red, Chicago, with the lead. Tate Armstrong, number 14, a rookie. Going over to Mickey Johnson. Johnson up front against Leon Douglas. Now it's back to the rookie who's had a field day. He whacks another one in. So the young man has done his job. 20 points, a new professional high for Tate Armstrong. And the score is 92-87. This is Jerry Gross along with John McLaughlin. We're in Detroit as Chris Ford moves it back. Cannot get it up in the rafters to haul that one down. Pulling it down is Mickey Johnson. Now Van Leer will hold it up and try and get a good play off. They are sitting on a 92-87 lead with 5 minutes and 48 seconds left to go in the game. Johnson. Goaltending called against M.L. Carr. Called by the trail referee, and the Chicago Bulls coach Ed Badger stands up with 5:44 to go. It's 94-87 in favor of Chicago. Johnson goes to the foul line. The foul call on the play and the goaltending call. So the lead has bounced to 7 for Chicago. The Bulls going for their 3rd straight. They have gotten a lot normally from their starting 5, accounting for 82% of the team's playing time and 90% of the Chicago's minutes, but the bench has helped them here. Eric Money with a drive shot, and Money has rammed in 18. 95-89 the score. 5 minutes and 24 seconds left to go.
The Bulls now must be aware of controlling the ball as much as they can. If they have the break, they should take out of there and get the easy basket. But they should also must protect their lead, be careful with the ball. On the other hand, Detroit must come the other way and score as many points as quickly as possible.
Gilmore jumped right into the lap of Lanier. Lanier ends up on the floor, and with a 95-89 lead, 5 minutes to go. Still plenty of time for Detroit. Inside, Douglas, who went well earlier in there, comes up with the ball. But Van Leer takes it away. Van Leer now looking to draw the backcourt foul. Did not get the call. That's Armstrong. Goes into Johnson, and a whistle and a foul. The 3rd against Bob Lanier. And that will be the 4th team foul against Detroit. Only 2 team fouls against Chicago, John McLaughlin.
That could certainly be a factor for Chicago. Detroit now trying to get back in the game, scattering as the Bulls turn the ball over there. They may commit more fouls and put the Bulls on the line.
M.L. Carr misses the dunk. Armstrong comes back with it. 3-on-2. Back over to the rookie. Blocked. Goaltending. Goaltending is called. Goaltending called, and called immediately by both officials. Both officials called it.
Here you can see Armstrong gets the ball back. Now watch how high up in the air he flips it, because he can anticipate the big guy trying to block the shot.
That's Lanier going inside, loses the ball, gets it back over to Eric Money. 4 minutes and 15 seconds of basketball left in this one. 97-91. The lead is 6 for the club in red.
As we look back at that replay, Jerry, I'm not sure that was a goaltend. I think perhaps the ball was still on the way up.
Let's see what happens with Gilmore outside. Artis Gilmore measuring that one, averaging 23 a game. The big guy has 17. How he has improved this year. Tremendous improvement. The people in Chicago are extremely proud of their ball club this year. That is Chris Ford, making it 99-93. The lead is 6 with 3 minutes and 43 seconds to go.
Now, the Pistons, I am sure, they're going to have to start picking up a little higher to intensify their defense, and at times, perhaps double team to try to get Chicago to turn the ball over.
Gilmore in the hole. Made a good move. Gilmore really asserting himself in this one. 19 points for the quiet man from Jacksonville. Came in the dispersal draft from Kentucky. Lanier trying to get back the other way, has Van Leer on him on a switch. They should go back inside. They do, dropping off to try and help out is Johnson, but a foul. Wisely, Van Leer hit him first before he could get the shot off.
Well, at both ends now, you can see the club's aware of going to their big men to try to play percentage basketball. The big guys get it so close to the basket, and they both have enough talent that if they get it inside, it is a pretty good percentage shot.
An excellent foul, because that's only the 3rd. Now Van Leer trying to do something on defense, and Lanier with a double pump scores. An excellent foul by Van Leer. Earlier, that was only the 3rd team foul, and he prevented the big guy from scoring.
There's plenty of time for Detroit to win this basketball game if they do not commit the fouls. They are in foul trouble. So on the next foul that they commit, the Bulls will go to the line.
Van Leer handing off to May. May inside, still turning and scoring, and he's fouled. 2 minutes and 47 seconds to go in the game. It is a 103-95 game.
Well, big play by Scott May. Actually, the ball is lost here. He gets it back, but watch how he protects the ball and turns his body into Douglas, who commits the foul.
We have 2:47 to go. 103-95. Chicago leading here in Detroit.
When you're in trouble, it's good to know you can call someone who will bring help fast. An independent insurance agent who represents the cavalry. The Kemper Insurance Companies and other fine companies. In a whirl of red tape, here's a maverick who's tough, fast, and fair. So when you're in trouble, Your independent agent will be there. Where do you find help like this? In the Yellow Pages, under Kemper.
Before you buy a food processor, Hamilton Beach suggests these tests. Does it chop a full load of meat at a time? The Hamilton Beach does. Does it grate hard cheese with ease? The Hamilton Beach does. Does it make yeast dough without stalling? The Hamilton Beach does. Does it mix, shred, mince, blend, puree, and slice? The Hamilton Beach food processor does it all. The Hamilton Beach food processor. Only from the Hamilton Beach Scoville World of Appliances.
On the CBS Sports Spectacular, Jack Whittaker will have a commentary, Women in Sports. That'll be next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern Time, 3:30 Central and Pacific, of course. And that will be a feature coming up, Women in Sports, hosted by Chris Kraft. A new feature segment. She'll focus in on Yvonne Goolagong-Cawley and her return to women's tennis and her return as a mother. Now Scott May at the line, going for the three-point play. He gets it. And Scott May's had a good afternoon with 19 points. It's now 104-95. That's the three-point play with 2 minutes and 41 seconds to go. Detroit is behind. They're going to have to hurry. Girard takes Gilmore inside. Out of the ball game now on the other side of the court was Lanier momentarily. That's Gus Girard fighting the clock. A big rebound coming up for Chicago. They couldn't hang on to it. It goes out of bounds, but it's saved before it goes out by Gilmore. Now with a bucket here, that could make things very, very enjoyable for Chicago. 104-95. The Bulls have played so well. They have fought back. They were down in the third quarter. They've come back to do the job, and now they take the lead, 104-95. That's Armstrong. Missing with a shot, and Lanier with a rebound. Can Detroit come back? Or will Chicago hold them off? We have a minute and 59 to go. Money missing, but hustling for the rebound. The rebound taken away underneath by Johnson. Johnson doing a good job on the boards. He's not too strong, but he's wiry, and he's agile.
That was a big exchange for the Pistons. Eric Money won't miss shots like that too often. Now, the Bulls should set on the ball, use the clock as much as they can, which Norm Van Leer is very good at doing.
Lanier with a rebound. Lanier goes to Ford. He'll go in for two. So with a minute and 32 seconds to go, it is 104-97. The lead is 7. Still plenty of time. Not plenty of time, but still time.
Well, I just mentioned Norm Van Leer is good at sitting on the ball, and he really is. Only that time, he going into the basket, of course, that left the other end wide open. And here the Pistons again make the Bulls turn the ball over and go down and score. This game is not over yet.
Van Leer cannot believe that he wasn't fouled by M.L. Carr, and he's really blasting the trail referee. You see the score.
Jerry, I might have jinxed Norm. Just as I said that, he turned the ball over twice.
Now it's 104-99 with a minute and 3 seconds to go. A bucket here would be tough for Detroit to come back. They've lost 2 in a row. Gilmore working inside against Lanier. Big opportunity here to be a backcourt violation. It goes out of bounds. The ball is going to belong to Detroit with 53 seconds to go, and it's 104-99. 104-99. Detroit is in foul trouble. I believe in the last 2 minutes they have not had a foul, so Chicago could take a foul. Let's see what happens. 104-99. That is Girard. Girard going for the hoop. He is fouled before the shot, I believe. Before. He did not get the continuation call, John, and you might talk about the continuation call.
Well, it's hard to determine when they're going to call that. Oftentimes when you're on the way to the basket and you are fouled, normally that is called continuation and the official will call it. That time they said he was on the floor when he was fouled. He was not on his way to the basket or in the air.
We have 45 seconds of basketball remaining here, and it is 104-99. Chicago in the lead, 104-99, and Detroit will go to the foul line.
We've got millions of dollars worth of computers and research electronics here at Bache. Computers are very helpful, but they can't make the final decisions for me and my clients. Decisions that can make the difference between winning and losing. Our research has got to be some of the best in the business, but any research is only as good as the broker who uses it. I work at Bache because Bache is one place that tries never to forget that.
The winning attitude at Bache. Put it to work for you.
As good-looking as Etonic golf shoes are, that's not the only reason to buy them. After all, it's how a golf shoe feels that really matters. And that takes thoughtful comfort features. A cushioned arch support, a padded ankle collar, and the softest leather uppers and linings. So consider Etonic for comfort, not just styling. After all, how a golf shoe looks to you is one thing. How it looks to your feet is another. Etonic, golf shoes that feel as good as they look.
You see the time remaining in the game. No one going to the foul line. That is only the first foul in the last 2 minutes. The next foul will be a shooting foul, and there it is.
There it is.
Van Leer, a 1-and-1 situation coming up now.
The Pistons, of course, needed 2 points at this point in the game. They were running a set play, going back into Lanier, I am sure, but Ford got fouled, put him on the line, and he's a pretty good free throw shooter.
Chris Ford goes to the line. Ford, a 78% shooter. This will cut the lead to 4. It does. Now it'll cut it down if he makes this one down to 3. 41 seconds to go in the game. The lead now is 4 for Chicago.
Here the Pistons in an all-out pressure defense, which you would expect, but now they're retreating.
Welcome back to Detroit. Jerry Gross with John McLaughlin. We have 29 seconds left to go in the game, and the lead is 3 for the team with the ball. Chicago, a 3-point lead. Out of bounds goes the ball. We may have a foul or a jump ball. M.L. Carr down on the court, along with Mickey Johnson. 25 seconds remaining in the game. It's 104 to 101. The Chicago Bulls in red have the lead, and Mickey Johnson will go to the foul line. Johnson from the foul line hits 80%.
That foul, of course, hurts Detroit quite a bit. M.L. Carr committed a foul in a situation where he probably should not have done that. By putting Chicago on the line, Mickey Johnson is a good free throw shooter, as Jerry mentioned. Now, a basket at that point obviously hurts Detroit quite a bit. With 25 seconds to go, they must get the ball in very quickly or call timeout, get it at midcourt.
24 seconds left to go in the game. The lead is 5 for Chicago. And so with a timeout, 25 seconds to go, 106-101, it is Chicago on top. "25 seconds remaining in the game."
I've played out of some monsters before, but this one's something else. This monster is the Terex Titan, the world's largest truck. It's the big daddy in the Terex line of off-highway equipment. Equipment used worldwide for mining, logging, and heavy construction. Whether it's playing golf or moving mountains, you need to use the right iron. And baby, that's a lot of iron.
Now it begins. The thrill, the magic, the boundless excitement of golf all rolled up in a ball. MaxFly. Only MaxFly brings you this unique aerodynamic design, this long-distance peak trajectory for carry with control. Red Max. And total MaxFly quality in a durable cover. Blue Max. MaxFly, a flight towards perfection.
We have 25 seconds left to go in Detroit, 106-101. That's the score with the Bulls on top. They led by 9 with 1:50 to go, and now it's been cut down to 5. The star of this game, well, one of the stars has to be the young man on the back line for Chicago, John McLaughlin.
Tate Armstrong's done just a tremendous job coming in, filling in for Holland, actually, who is really their shooter in the backcourt, who got in foul trouble early. Tate Armstrong having his best pro game ever, and, of course, he picked regional television to do it on.
They need a basket quickly. The Detroit Pistons, they're down by 5 points. That's Lanier going against Gilmore. The basket is in, but it does not count, and an excellent call by Joe Gachou. It is a charge called with 21 seconds to go against Bob Lanier. No basket.
Well, that should seal the doom, very possibly, for Detroit. The foul hurt. Also here you can see Lanier coming in to Gilmore. Gilmore anticipating the left-handed hook very nicely, getting in the lane, and, of course, drawing the foul.
It'll be out of bounds again for Chicago. They lead 106-101, 19 seconds to go. The clock counting down in the upper portion of your screen. Holland with a double team gets it away. Scott May, they're just going to try and eat the ball and draw the foul. May, everybody all over him. 6 seconds. 5. This one should belong to the Chicago Bulls. And the Chicago Bulls, with a second to go, have won the game. The Bulls have won 3 in a row, beating Los Angeles, Milwaukee, and now Detroit.
Chicago's starting out very slowly at the first part of the game, not playing the tight defense that they started playing much later in the game, into the third quarter. And, of course, their shooting came around tremendously. They went from 40% up into the upper 50%. And, of course, playing a very good second half. And I think the game might get down to a very important play on that foul by M.L. Carr. Had the Bulls not scored then and the Pistons come down and put the ball in the basket, it would have been a different situation this late in the game.
The Bulls are shooting well at the foul line, have only missed 4 all afternoon. That's 20 points now for Scott May. And there's the buzzer ending the ball game. So the final score, the Chicago Bulls 107, Detroit 101. The Chevrolet Most Valuable Player Award goes to Tate Armstrong for his excellent play on the afternoon.
Well, he certainly deserves it. He had 22 points. He came in, sparked Chicago early in the game, and continued to play well in the second half.
And the Chevrolet $1,000 scholarship will be awarded to Duke University on behalf of Tate Armstrong. So it's a big afternoon here for Chicago. They've turned things around. They now crawl to within 5 games of Denver in the Midwest, and they are 5 games ahead of Detroit. So for a report on the Portland-Boston game, let's go now to Don Crickey and Gus Johnson in Boston.